Raul R. Ramos brings you his emotional, raw, and inspiring autobiography, following along with his uplifting journey from street gang life in South Central Los Angeles to earning the rank of Master Chief in the United States Navy. His one-of-a-kind story is certain to motivate and remind you that you control your destiny, no matter what hand you were dealt.
How long have you been in the Navy?
Oh, me blow midlife.
I'm Jamie Britt.
And I'm Heath Britt.
And together we are E14. We have 40 years of naval service.
And each week we discuss a potpourri of topics, which we like to call smoke pit topics.
These are real world topics that concern us, our marriage, and our Navy with a sailor twist.
So join us each week as we dive into the deep end.
Booyah! Hey everyone, welcome back to E14 Podcast. I'm Jamie Britt.
And I'm Heath Britt.
And together we are E14.
Let's get that disclaimer just in case.
Okay.
I fuck it up when I try to do it.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of our own and not the United States Navy or our respective commands.
Which you're the only one with a command now.
Yeah, I'm the only one.
Welcome everybody back. Hey, we got with us Master Chief retired Raul Ramos. I mean, freshly retired, March 31st. That was it, right?
That's right, man.
Hey, man, thank you so much for coming on the show.
How many years did you serve?
24 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but you made Master Chief in like 17?
Just under 18. Yeah, 17 and some months, just under 18.
It's pretty impressive. I have a question for you. So you've been on a few carriers, as I know, and there's three flavors to the AB rate. Which one is the best? Which one's the smartest?
Hands down, E, man. ABEs. No, but I love all my ABs, man. E's, F's, H's, but I'm an E at heart, so
that's right.
I bleed green, man. Yeah.
I hear you, brother. And then out of all the, I've been on a carrier, one carrier out of my 5 ships, and then I did air stations 3 different times.
Cool.
So all my shore dudes have been in South Texas at the training bases between Corpus and Kingsville. I'm sure you're familiar with them.
Oh yeah.
But always a lot of ABs there, ABHs and E's, and I think 1 F. They don't really have a billet there, but there was one filling a general billet there. But I always felt a bigger kinship toward the E's just because of y'all's maintenance y'all do. You guys are maintenance intense aviation rate.
Oh yeah, man. Maintenance is a big part of our rate. It kept us up many hours throughout the night on deployments, 24/7, 6, 7, 8 months at a time, bro.
I understand that. Definitely. You guys were always humping. And, then on shore duty, y'all had the E28 arresting gear, which kept these guys busier than hell. Even for a shore duty, the guys stay pretty busy. Quick joke, though. Well, not a joke, but a story that's kind of funny. I was doing a retirement speech for ABEC that retired back in 2017. I think I just picked up senior chief. Anyway, I had some H's in there, and I like to pick on the H's, just what I do. So I asked a question. At the ceremony, I asked the audience, how do you become an ABH? And everybody's like, well, I don't know. I said, well, they put a rock in your hand. If you can remember at the end of the day what hand the rock was in, you become an ABH. My ABH guys didn't think it was funny, but the crowd thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah,
anyway.
I'm sure they didn't like that at all. Yeah, too funny.
Well, everybody, we got Raul Ramos, as I mentioned before, man. He's my new damn hero, man. He's a former gang member, deep into we'll get into the gang membership a little bit, deep into the gang life. And then he had an epiphany. Let's join the damn Navy out of everything he could do. And it went from there. Could you please introduce yourself real quick?
No, absolutely. Yeah, no problem. I'm Raul Ruben Ramos. From Southern California, born and raised Los Angeles. I have 2 beautiful children. My daughter's 25 years old. Son is 13 years old. I served in the Navy 24 years before I retired, March 31st, and I am the author of the newly released book, Essay to Master Jefe.
Because a lot of people get dealt a rough life, a rough hand, and they just live it out the way that society or whoever tells them to, says that's what you have to be. And that's great.
That's awesome. And that's what we always preach as leaders in the Navy. It don't matter. It don't matter what you were dealt. It's not matter how the game starts, how the game ends, right?
100. Absolutely.
Right. And let's start it off, man. So I love in this book, you do touch on your mom and dad and their childhood, and there's nobody started off glorious beginnings.
Right.
Start
Yeah,
off.
man.
So how poor was poor?
For my mother, poor was, you'll read in the book, and without going into too much detail, I mean, they didn't have running water, they didn't have electricity. They were feeding off of the plants they were growing. They'd have to wash their clothes down in the river, so on and so forth. So my mother grew up pretty poor. My father was a bit more fortunate. He had some good essentials growing up. Had some good family members that took care of him. But yeah, for sure, my mother grew up pretty poor.
And there was little bit, there was some physical abuse and in that life that she lived down in Mexico, and that, that's just a trend, it carries on to later in life and all that. But for Raul, how poor was poor, you growing up?
Yeah, for me, you know what, my childhood, I would describe it as not good, but not too bad, because I know there's a lot of people who've been through a lot worse, who grew up a lot worse than I did. So I would say that I grew up poor, but not very poor, not too bad off. But I had my challenges. It was rough growing up. I describe a lot of that in my book. The struggles of being hungry, the struggles of not having things that you need to go to school. Yeah, so it wasn't easy growing up. I described that in my book. Like I said, I start off with talking about my parents, my immigrant parents, and how they came into the United States, their struggles there, and then their struggles as an early couple. And then I go into my childhood and my struggles there, and eventually leading into the gang life and that world that I jumped into, and how I made my way over into the Navy, and how blessed I've been to be successful and make my way up to the ranks of the Master Chief ranks in the Navy. So it's a good story, man. And I talk about a lot of things. I give a lot of advice based on my experience. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in that book for everyone from all walks of life.
It's really hard to be the child of a family that came from Mexico, immigrated from Mexico, or in any country really, because as your parents are trying to figure out the country and the do's and don'ts, they're trying to raise you in this country. And I know for my family, I'm second generation, so they wouldn't speak Spanish to us. We don't even know Spanish, because they said, no, we don't want you to be made fun of in school. And so we just spoke English in our home.
No, yeah, I totally understand. And my family was the opposite. They spoke nothing but Spanish in my home. So my sister and I, that's all we knew until about kindergarten. And kindergarten is when I learned English. Man,
that's the people don't really understand that unless they've lived that type of life. But when you're little and you don't know the language, it's just that much. It makes you stick out, makes you different than everyone else.
No, absolutely.
And I can imagine the shit you take, because I grew up in a normal white family in Central Louisiana, but I can't imagine the children of immigrants, the shit they take when they hit these school ages and don't know English. Kids are assholes. It can be.
That's right, man. Kids are they can be pretty brutal, man, for sure.
And then they find a weakness, and they'll poke fun at somebody else to keep the heat off their back. So anything to keep the heat off their back. And they see a kid showing up not knowing English. Oh man, that's low hanging fruit.
Did you get picked on?
Oh yeah.
Did you get fucked with a lot?
Yeah, I did. I got picked on a little bit in kindergarten because I didn't know English, but I didn't let it bother me at all. I remember that clearly. I didn't let it bother me, and I actually picked up English pretty goddamn quick.
Wow.
And TV helped me out a lot too. Watching those Saturday and Sunday morning cartoons.
Yeah.
Watching TV. You know what I mean? So then when I jumped right into kindergarten, I picked up English pretty fast. Math and English in kindergarten. I remember I picked it up really fast. I mentioned it in my book, and I remember the teacher kind of praising me. It felt great, you know. So I didn't mind the kids picking on me at all.
I want to touch on one quick story from your book. It's just a little one that really almost, I never understood gang membership because I never a part of it. I was, like I said, I grew up in South Central LA, but it was the Louisiana side, not the California. But the way your mom, y'all wanted this toy. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
And y'all put it in the basket, and your mom never put it back, but never paid for it either. That's how she felt about constantly telling y'all no, you can't afford this, can't afford that. And then I started thinking, it's not about power. It's not, I mean, yeah, you like the way the gang, the facade the gang puts out as far as, you know, the cars and the girls and the money, but it's about belonging. Because poor kids don't belong to nobody. Mm. And is that true though? That's kind of how I took it when I was reading your book.
No, absolutely 100, man. That sense of belonging that I was missing, you know. And when my father left, and you know, my mother was out there trying to work, and you know, my sister, I don't even remember like seeing my sister around, but yeah, I was looking for that sense of belonging, and I found that right outside of our apartment building. You know, watching the homeboys there, the older homeboys hanging out, you know, in their crowd with their loud music, their crispy clean khakis, Dickies, you know, the tattoos, the money, you know, all of it. And I was like, man, I want to belong to that. I want to be a part of that, you know.
Because in your eyes, that was success, right? At that point in time.
Exactly.
Yeah. And when I noticed about when your gang though, you guys, you had those issues with rival gangs, as every gang does, but y'all had a code. You didn't fuck with people, innocent or weaker people. It seemed like to me that you guys had a code. Y'all wouldn't do that because y'all knew that'd be hell to pay if you did. I mean, that's how it seems like. Yeah, y'all. I ain't saying y'all were angels by any stretch of imagination, but you lived by a code.
No, absolutely, you're right about that, and no, you're right. We weren't angels whatsoever, but there was no disrespect to innocent bystanders, to children, so on and so forth. So there was a code that we did live by.
Yeah, that I always, you know, there's a silver lining in everything, and it was like, well, you know what? Yeah, they're not angels, but they try to do the best they could. But at the end of the day, it was about the money. You had to, you know, we all got to get paid.
My sister-in-law and I were just really talking about this, like with criminals anyways. We're here in New Orleans and the crime's kind of going crazy. And I said, there's always been sort of kind of rules, quote unquote, rules to crime. Like you don't just stop in a traffic jam and start firing AK-47s. That's not what you do. That's not how you follow the rules for criminals. So it's kind of interesting to see, you know, the code and how it's made up, and why did y'all have that? What was it that made y'all different?
Yeah, a big part of that was money, for sure. You know, money. I mean, you're talking about South Central Los Angeles in the 90s era. Like the 90s era, if I describe South Central Los Angeles in the 90s era, it was a concrete jungle, right? There was no grass, there was no green. You know, it was dark, it was treacherous. You know, so money is like gold. You know, it's like gold to people in South Central LA. You know, there's no jobs, there's poverty. It's like a third world country. Wow. It's how I would describe South Central Los Angeles. So money was a huge part of the gang, for sure, 100.
And he painted so well in the book that in the book, you paint a good picture of South Central LA, where you guys would hang out and throw your parties and whatnot. I could picture a rundown side of town, whatever the street that y'all hung out on. And you painted so well in my head. It was dark, it was gloomy, and you never knew what was around the other corner. Rival gang, whatnot, whatever. It could be anything. Cops, it could be anything waiting to take y'all out at all times. So you can't get caught slipping.
Exactly.
But you know what word he used a lot, maybe, that I learned from you? Chancla.
The chancla?
Chancla's real, dude.
Watch out for that chancla, man.
You use chancla a lot. It was usually in your mom's hand, right?
Yeah.
Throwing it at you.
Funny. Oh man, she threw that at me many times, and
I
I don't blame her though.
My
I
mom
always,
didn't just have the chancla though. If she was cooking, she had the
Yeah.
wooden spoon. If she was folding
Yeah.
clothes, she had the hanger. It was not just the chancla for my
I
mom.
always believe that Hispanics, whether they were athletic or not born with a pinpoint accuracy with a damn flip flop in her hand.
Yeah.
I've always believed. After I met you, I didn't know before I met you.
It's
Then I understood.
genetics.
Even like
Yeah.
her son, our oldest, or my stepson,
Mhm.
he's good. He's dead accurate one. He'll throw him at his brother sometimes, or used to. Dead accuracy.
Nice.
It's scary. Couldn't throw a baseball to
fun.
save his life. He could throw a daggone flip flop or chocolate. And you have a sister, Lisa, right?
Yes, my sister Lisa.
Rival
Oh,
gang.
yeah.
Rival gang. And yeah, I wasn't rival, but yeah, she was in another gang, right?
Yeah, she was in another gang, not a rival gang. She was from a smaller gang. You know, they were a smaller gang, but they were pretty hardcore. You know, they were active, and you know, we used to talk crap to each other, talk shit to each other. You know, whose gang is bigger and badder, and you know, we got down a few times. We threw some hands. Like I said, my sister's a tough one, man. She get down with the best of them. So, but yeah.
Was it a big civil rivalry? Sibling rivalry. I'm sorry, bro.
Oh, absolutely. No, it was. You know, and again, I hate to say this a million times, but I did mention that in my book a lot. When we were young, and we had a lot of hate towards each other, not knowing, of course, right? Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, we used to say mean things to each other. We used to fight all the time. And yeah, we just had a hate for each other, didn't care for each other much. But there was moments where we did. You know, I actually taught her how to fight, like how to street fight. She already knew how. I think I taught her how to protect herself even better. She remembers that, and she even used it against me. She even used it against me. So, and I kind of worked out for her. But yeah, our when we were siblings at a young age, we didn't get along very well at all. But now that we're older, you know, we're more mature. We live life a little bit. We love each other. Like I call her every day. She calls me, and we talk about life. We talk about our kids. We talk about, you know, the sad times, and we cry together sometimes. All of it. So it's a beautiful thing now.
Where was your mom throughout all of this while y'all were members of gangs?
Yes. So my mom worked a lot. And she was at like a lot of dead end jobs. There was temp jobs she was trying to work. And then she had several boyfriends that she was out there hanging out with. You know, she was trying to find herself. So she wasn't around a lot. Yeah. And, you know, she was really down in the dumps about my father leaving. And, you know, of course, having to take care of my sister and I, trying to figure life out and feed us and give us the things that she could. Yeah.
A lot of anger I could see being built up in her for your father leaving, and then you and your sister just having to find your way in life and survive. I mean, it sounds like it's a lot of just like pent up anger.
No, absolutely, and it came out in so many bad ways. You know, as I grew up, as my sister and I both grew up. You keep it bottled up inside so long, you know, that pipe is about to burst, right? That pressure in that pipe is going to burst. So it burst many times throughout my life. And, but that's the old me, you know?
Definitely. Before we move on, I just want to know what when you were in the Florencia gang, correct? Did I pronounce that right? Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
What was one of the lowest moments that you can remember being part of the gang life?
I mean, the lowest moments is, I can sit here and talk to you about that all day, man. But just seeing the homeboys, good homeboys, solid homeboys, good people going to jail for a long time or dying, right? Or their families being affected, the neighborhood being, you know, torn down. So there was a lot of sadness and a lot of darkness, a lot of dark moments in the hood for sure.
Definitely. And then what, 1998? Is that when it was?
98. Yeah, that's right. July of 98. Yeah.
What was the turning point? What was the spark?
The turning point was hands down, no question, my daughter. You know, my daughter was she was 2 years old at the time. And I've always said to myself that, you know what, I don't want to ever not be there for my child or my children or my family. I want to be a man and support my family in the right way, in a positive way. And I remember saying to myself, like, you know what, I gotta do something in a positive way to not only help myself out and do right for myself, but for my daughter, so she can have a better life, so she can have better things that I had growing up. So she was my spark, hands down. And that's when I made my way over to the recruiting station in Los Angeles. And I made my way over to the Marine recruiting station first. That didn't work out too well. But the Navy took me in with open arms. Totally blessed with that experience.
How did your homeboys feel? What was their reaction when you decided to go Navy?
Yeah, there was a lot of mixed reactions. A lot of them were very happy for me, like the real ones, the closer ones to me. They're happy for me. A lot of them wish that they can go with me. You know, a lot of them had felonies. You know, some of them were strung out on drugs. So the Navy there was no way they were going to be able to join the Navy. And some of them had a little bit of hate, but I was okay with that. My best friend, his street name was Little Man. Him and I were like peanut butter and jelly in the hood, but he was sad. He didn't want to see me go. Yeah. And at one point he also wanted to join himself, but yeah, so there was a lot of mixed feelings, you know, but there was more support than anything.
Well, that's kind of fun when you find out who your real brothers are. The ones that are happy as you're getting the hell out of it and doing something better for yourself. Definitely. Debbie, so you tried the Marine Corps first, it didn't work out for you. Will they tell you get the hell out of their office?
In a nice way, they did. Respectfully.
Was it the tattoos?
Was it the tats?
Yeah. I mean, I literally walked in with like, you know, oversized Ben Davis pants, you know, the gangster pants we used to wear, you know, baggy shirt. I mean, I had the tattoos. I had the tattoo under my eye, on my sideburns. And they're like, hell no, you know, and they were having issues. They're having issues with gang members, you know, joining the Marine Corps and getting out and then using their training out in the streets. So they were having issues at that time. It's my understanding of what I was told. So yeah, happily they directed me over on over to the Navy, and it worked out.
That's all. You tried the Air Force and nobody was there, right? Nobody was in their office. They're all playing golf. That's awesome. No, that's awesome, because you joined in 98, did your boot camp thing. And how did that, I want to know, and you touched on your book a little bit, but not a lot, but the boot camp, you're used to being talked to a certain way. And these dudes as you join the 90s, they light your ass up in the 90s. I don't give a fuck what they say about the Navy. They'll cuss your ass out quick in the 90s.
Absolutely.
How'd that feel, dude? You got like 3 of them on you at once up in your face.
Yeah, that transition was tough, man. I tell you, man. I mean, you're talking about two different worlds, right? Like South Central LA, and I mean, I'm hardened from South Central LA, right? Like, you're a punk if anyone gets in your face and says or raises their voice at you, and you don't do anything to retaliate. You're a punk. You're deemed no good, right? So that transition was tough. I mean, right off the bat, as soon as that bus pulls up to RTC. And you know, and that RDC comes into that bus and starts yelling, and of course they get in my face immediately. You know,
they saw you.
Yeah, absolutely. They spotted those tattoos. They're like, "Oh, you're the tough guy," you know. Okay, so I got the business immediately, and it was hard. I bit my tongue, but I kept my motivation.
Ask, how'd you do it? Did you bite your tongue? Did you squeeze your toes? What'd you do?
Yeah, all of the above. I bit my tongue. I balled my fist. I got shit for that too. My toes curled. But at the end of the day, I thought about my motivation. You know, that was my daughter. I was like, you know, I got to get through this. You know, I got to get through this. And also there was a lot of people who didn't think I was going to make it through boot camp either. You know, they're like, there's no way. They had, you know, so I had a little bit of motivation from the haters. But the main motivation was my daughter. Like, hey, get through this, man. Look at the bigger picture, you know?
Yeah,
I can imagine, because they called me the inbred because I still have an accent, but I was a country as fuck, dude, when I was going, dude. They're like, "Oh, you like fucking your sister and shit like that," you know. They're freaking trying to piss me off. I mean, I didn't give a shit, whatever.
So I gotta ask the question, because I know what our listeners are probably thinking. I've always heard blood in, blood out for the gangs. How did you leave the gang, or how did you get out and be a part of the Navy?
Yeah, I kind of touched on that in my book. And so every gang is different, right? Every gang is different. Some are more harsh than others. Everyone has a different code. The fact that I grew up in my gang in the hood in Florence at a very young age, and been through the motions with them, put in my work and do what I had to do. I kind of grew up with them as brothers, as family. So they kind of they respected the fact that I was moving on to better myself and better my family. I didn't just leave because, oh, hey, I don't want to be a part of this anymore, or because sometimes if you know too much or you do too much, you're not just going to walk away. But again, they respected the fact that I was going to move on for myself to better myself and my family. So I wouldn't say it's a free pass, but it's kind of like, hey, man, go do well. Some of us, like I said, the real ones wish that they could do well also.
Yeah.
So that's how it worked out for me, man. It was in the cards for me. I was blessed that it worked out that way.
Yeah, lucky.
Definitely. You didn't have to do the same thing you did to get in that son bitch.
Exactly. Yeah. That for sure happens sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. But you get through school. I know you did your apprentice training. Is that what y'all did back then?
Yeah,
right,
it was called Airman Apprenticeship. Yes.
Yeah, pack sailor.
Yes,
joining.
exactly.
And so you went to the Nimitz, but you did TAD while you were out on the Nimitz. You went deployment with others. That's where I think we were served on the same deployment together on the Lincoln.
That's
you
right.
were 2000 deployment, I believe it. Is that right?
2000, 2001. Yes,
Yeah,
2000,
yeah.
2001.
Yeah,
while I was on Nimitz, we were doing a major overhaul on the Nimitz, so they were sending us out TAD to like every carrier out there on the East Coast and everyone they could to get us qualified and get us some training. So yes, I did the deployment on Lincoln. It was 2000, 2001. That was my first deployment ever.
Yeah, I made E5 on that deployment. Yeah, I was
awesome.
Yeah. But the thing about it, when you were on the Nimitz, you said you were in the yards or something?
Yes, we were in the yard.
Thing about an ABE, especially, or any AB rate, you can't learn your job sitting in the yards because you're an arresting gear guy. They're not using arresting gear in the yards. So that was awesome. They did that and sent y'all to learn your rate to these other ships that are operational. And the wealth of knowledge you gain from that is incalculable, I must imagine, because we as ETs, we still do our rate in the yard. We still do maintenance on the radios and all that, keep it up. But you guys, you have no job, right?
No, absolutely. Yeah. When I first got to the Nimitz, all of the arresting gear engines were ripped out. So there was nothing there. As you said. So yeah, it was great that they were, the leadership did the right thing. They were sending us out, they were networking and it got us out there and got us a training. That way, when we came back and we got the ship out the yards and went around the horn down to San Diego, it was smooth sailing. We took care of business.
That's pretty awesome I guess it was awesome that you got to be on a ship that stayed in San Diego.
Yeah. West Coast.
Oh yeah. I loved it, man. It was amazing. I was like, I was just super happy I was going back to the West Coast.
Was it hard for you to stay away from your own life though?
No, not hard at all. I did stop by in Los Angeles, stop by in the hood in my uniform, and the homeboys were happy. The ones that were there, they're happy for me. We got the hugs, the handshakes, and I stopped by and I said hello. So hard to stay away. It wasn't hard to stay away because my mindset was like, hey, this is my thing now. This is my career now, is the Navy. My focus wasn't on in the hood anymore. I've been there, done that, at an early age is how I saw it. So, it wasn't hard at all. And I already knew what was at stake, right? I had a lot to lose if I went out there and I got caught up, and I had a whole career to lose, which would affect my daughter at the time,
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sure it was very emotional for the guys to see you, in your uniform, all bright and shiny.
Rocking that national defense ribbon.
Well,
yeah, that one ribbon.
But just to see somebody that got out, and did something.
No, absolutely. Like I said, the real ones, they love that. And they support that 100.
And you, for a lot of your career, has been on the West Coast, so you've enjoyed that beautiful weather.
Yes,
for a lot of years.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yes.
Dang.
Yeah.
So, well, you made second pretty fast.
Yes, I made second pretty fast. Yeah, on the Nimitz, my first tour, I made second in the 4 year term there.
That's good, especially for a guy to
Yeah.
start out as a eating nothing, because you didn't get. I
Yeah.
got automatically promoted to E4. You know, I mean, school was long as
Yeah.
shit, but I didn't have to take
Yeah.
a test for E4. But
Yeah.
and I know if I remember right, y'all's career progression is not super fast. Is it tight? Pretty
Um,
tight. I can't remember. It's been so long.
yeah, as an E, there's not, I would say back then no one wanted to be an E, right? The long hours, the hard work, the maintenance. So it was pretty wide open, but I really stuck my head in those books, man, and those tech manuals. And I had a great mentor, man. And not one mentor, I had many mentors. But one of the mentors that helped me out a lot, and I talk about him in my book, and I don't want to say his name now. I want people to read it, but he helped me tremendously. And he was a chief at the time. He's now a retired master chief. But he helped me a lot. He helped push me and helped me in books. I would always pick his brain. God damn, I got on his nerves, and I know I did, but I didn't give a shit. I wanted to just, I wanted to feed off him. And it worked out, and he appreciates me to this day, and I appreciate him. And I caught up to his ass before he retired. He was a master chief, and of course I caught up to him. It was a great feeling. But he was a key part of that from the beginning, from the get-go of my career,
That's good, because if a chief ain't teaching, you might as well just check his anchors in at the door and fucking retire.
Exactly.
Yeah. You don't leave from the fucking desk, right?
Exactly, man.
So you're married now. I know because you came back from boot camp, you married your wife. So you're married with a kid. That's Emily, right? Your daughter?
Yeah. So my daughter's Emily. Yes, we had Emily 2 years before I went to boot camp. Yeah, we had Emily.
And then is Raulito, is he born while you were on the Nimitz?
So no, my son was born while I was on combat deployment on the Ronald Reagan.
Oh, okay. So he's still, so where was combat deployment? Was that during what campaign?
So we during Operation, what were we in 2000? I don't even remember, man. Yeah, I think it was Operation Enduring Freedom, 2005 to 2010. But anyhow, he was born while we were on deployment, on combat deployment. And I'll never forget when that picture came in and I looked at my son, newborn. Of course, it felt terrible not to be there. But looking at that picture, I was like, man, this boy is beautiful. No way he's my son.
Right.
So for a lot of people that don't know, when you're on deployment and then you have a baby, you're one of the first ones to get off. Were you one of the first ones to get off the ship when you came back?
I didn't take advantage of that.
Oh, okay.
I didn't. Actually, if I remember clearly, I flew off in Hawaii. And that's why that didn't happen, if I remember. I flew off in Hawaii and we did a little, get together thing. My ex-wife and I.
Right. That's the way it is, especially on these West packs. And I did a couple of them on the Lincoln. When you come back, you get like 10% of the crew can take leave when you pull into Hawaii. I know I took advantage of that once too. And then they fly off the air wing before they go to San Diego, all that stuff. And then you pull into port, and that's, the other half the other people go and leave once you get back into port. I always like that, Benny, because you could be on leave and then, everybody else is still out to sea. Felt pretty good to take advantage of that. So you did the ship, then you went to Monterey. Now I'm gonna tell you about, I almost had orders there once at the postgraduate school. I was an E5 coming off my first ship, and that's where the detail I wanted to send me. But I started Googling like Monterey, and it was beautiful, but shit was expensive.
No, yeah, absolutely, man. And you missed out, man, because it is beautiful. Expensive for sure. It's kind of reminds me of San Diego a little bit, beautiful and expensive. But yeah, I had a great tour there, man, in Monterey, my first shore duty with the linguists, Navy linguists, right? CTIs.
Oh, okay.
I originally thought I was going to show up there and scrub toilets on shore duty, and next thing you know, I'd find myself in leading the Navy military training program there for future linguists, which was awesome. Great experience there for sure.
That's so you what did I'm assuming you did Spanish? That was your forte?
Oh, actually, no. So it was a general billet for me. So I wasn't in the language program.
Okay,
so I was there. So the Navy military training program was there for the linguists before they jumped into their language course. We taught them, we taught them general military training, did the whole PT thing, all that. So it was kind of like an extension from boot camp, a transition from boot camp, Navy military training, and then they jumped into their language course.
So those assholes get to go to school in Monterey?
Right? How lucky. I give them shit about that all the time,
That's
man. I love my
bullshit.
CTIs though. Right? Yeah, I know.
Damn.
Wow.
Spoiled as hell. Spoiled. I love my CTIs though. I love
Yeah,
them.
they're a little weird, but they're good guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I want to talk about you making chief. Okay. I know how I felt when I made chief. I mean, you can't even put it in words, but I want you to try. But you came from a little different background than I did. You came from shit, running with gangs, to join the world's strongest Navy, to making the advancement to chief petty officer, which is no easy task by any stretch of the imagination. First of all, you had to survive your rate first, which is not an easy rate you're in. Then you make chief. Tell me about that, man.
Oh my, man. I can't describe it in words, man. Like it's that feeling I'll never forget when the skipper came on the 1NC. We were on deployment, combat deployment, that same one in 2008. And then my name was called. The feeling, I can't explain it, man, but I remember the goosebumps, like from my toe all the way to the top of my head, man. And just this overwhelming feeling. And then I felt this overwhelming feeling here in my chest. I was proud. I was happy. I was excited. You know, I tried to play it tough and like I kept it inside a little bit, but man, it was the best feeling ever, man. Aside from seeing my kids born or having my kids, that was hands down one of the best feelings I've ever felt in my life.
It's hard to believe. It's hard to speak about the accomplishment you feel after hitting that milestone, for sure. And I know how I felt it, but I can't imagine, like you said, coming from where you came from and doing it. That means you're not just good at your job. You actually took the Navy in and did what you had to do. Despite what thoughts you had before, or how you treated people, or how you did your business before you joined the Navy, you conform to the way the Navy does it, and you succeeded. Because that's why, like we're asking you about how you reacted in boot camp when they were getting in your face, because all that stuff is a challenge.
Oh yeah.
Especially if somebody coming from your childhood and your upbringing. And I remember when I read that, you know, obviously I knew you were a master chief. It's on the title, but when you talk about you made chief on the Reagan, I just like, man, I bet he had to feel accomplished.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
it felt amazing, man. Again, I can't describe it. It was a great feeling, hands down. And, you know, you kind of mentioned boot camp and how that was. The discipline, man, definitely contributed to that. The discipline that I learned in the streets, in the hood, you know, because they instilled discipline in us, right? And if you didn't have discipline, you will be disciplined, right?
Yeah.
So I kept my discipline, and again, I carried that on into boot camp and all the way through my career, the best I could, right? Best I could, and it worked out, you know.
Yeah, it did. Obviously, it worked out pretty good. I want to rewind real quick to your first ship on the mess decks. Another Hispanic dude looked at you cross-eyed.
Oh,
dude,
yeah.
I thought it was funny because I don't want to get too much into it, but when you went straight, you went street for a second there. I mean, right? You went street. So what was going in your head? Did you have flashbacks? Did you have like not non-flashback, obviously, but almost like a soldier,
like muscle memory,
like a muscle memory, kind of like, dude, I'm about to fuck this dude up. Did you think that?
Absolutely 100. You know, there's this saying that they say, you can take the boy out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the homeboy or the boy.
Yeah.
Absolutely, hands down, the gangster came out of me. No bullshit. You know, I was minding my business. It actually happened on the Lincoln. You know, they sent me TAD over there, and it was literally like,
I probably know that fucker.
You probably do. You probably know a little punk ass. But it would like happen right away. It was like days. I think it was days. Like the first week there, man. And me and my buddy, my little mentee, George Fierros, we were walking through the mess decks, man. We walked through the mess decks. We were getting ready to eat. And there he was sitting on his little table with his little homeboys there, you know, and you can see it was like a little Hispanic crowd. And I just felt the eyes on me, you know, in the hood, we call that mad dogging, right? So they were mad dogging. Right, so I'm walking. So I give that mad dog back. Like, hey, I ain't no punk. Like, you're not going to mad dog me. Yeah, the gangster was already starting to come out there, right? Unfortunately, sadly, but I'm keeping it real, right? And I remember I came around and I had my tray And then he came up to me and he's like, where, like, he hit me up, like, where you from? Like, you know, I was like, what the
Whoa.
fuck? Like, this is gang banging on me. That was straight gang banging on me on a damn Navy warship. You know? Like,
Damn mess decks.
so, yeah, on a mess deck. So I told him the deal. You know, I told him where I was from, and I let him know. And you know, and it started from there. It was just, you know, a little pushing here and there throughout the whole deployment, and you know, a little, we, you know, roughed each other up a little bit, nothing too serious, and that was that. You know, I think at the end of deployment, he kind of came to a little bit. You know, he had some issues with some other guys that I was hanging out with, but he came to and he was trying to calm down and be cool. And I was just like, whatever. I just kept it moving, man. It didn't bother me.
Just want to let Jamie know that that guy was from Texas.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he was from San Antonio.
Yeah.
Jamie's from Texas.
Houston side, not San Antonio.
It's H-Town.
Okay.
H-Town.
Yeah, H-Town. H-Town's pretty hood, I heard too.
Yeah.
Oh, she's from the redneck country part.
Hour south, yeah.
Yeah. Like her town's
Okay.
probably got like what's not even don't have a stoplight. It's got a blinking red light.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Little town. So but you kicked ass. You kicked ass in the Navy, man. You did. You proved it. You know, you made senior chief. Lost a little bit in the home life, though. As you said in the book, you took a lot of that. You took a lot of the blame. I get it. Trust me, I've been there, man. It happens to the best of us. But it's hard to take all the blame. I mean, I read that. You took all the blame. And I remember thinking that, wow, takes two to tango, bro. I think you did what you did. You had a goal in mind. I'm going to take care of my family. They're not going to want for shit. And I'm going to do what I got to do. I'll suffer to make their lives a little better. Shit happens though, right? You know?
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's 100, man. And I still feel like that, man. I really do. And, but I know, you know, it affected my daughter a lot, mostly my daughter more than my son. She was going through some hard times while I was out there on deployment, especially when I was on the Reagan from 2005 to 2010. We were never home, and she was going through some hard times, and it affected her a lot to this day. And I just hope that one day she comes to and says, and that, you know, I was gone, and I was gone for a good reason. You know, I was gone serving our country.
Mm-hmm.
So doing a good thing so I can provide for them and give them the better things in life. And my son didn't, you know, he doesn't understand too much, but he knows I was gone. But yeah, I still feel like I owe it to him. You know, I know I owe a lot of. You can't get that time back, but I owe a lot to him for being away.
Yeah, because it's true. You know, the life that we led, Jamie's still leading it. You missed a lot of firsts. You missed a lot of firsts.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of firsts you miss, and you can't get that back. There's no doubt about it.
That's why I think we all get so emotional when they read The Watch at a retirement. Did they read that at your retirement? The Watch?
I didn't have a retirement ceremony.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, you know, part
either.
of it says, and sometimes he would cast his eye ashore and see his family standing there, needing his hand to hold through those hard times, but he still stood to watch. And that is so powerful because you see your family needing you and you still have a mission to accomplish. You have a commitment that you have to see through. And it's emotional.
And you know what? They always pick some guy that has like a reverend, like a preacher voice to do it too. And everybody, there's not a dry eye in the place. Even the daggum 28-year master chiefs are freaking choking up. They always pick
man.
That's true. It gets me every time. I've read it several times, and I gotta compose myself because it's sad, especially when you and the wife and the family's always in the front row, and you see them tearing up. You're like, God dang it, God damn.
Yeah, it hits you right here, man, right there, every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
And the worst part about all that shit, because you missed a lot because you happened to be in Virginia at the time. But something good came out of it though. You're a running son of a bitch, aren't you?
Oh yeah, man. I love the run.
Yeah, you talk about
the run.
How many marathons have you ran total?
I ran one marathon, but I've run a lot of races. I just love to run, man. I love to run for fun. It's therapy for me, man. You know, that's my time out from the world for me. You know, I put my headphones in, turn my music up, and it's just me and my music, and that's it, man. I just go, man, get that runner's high,
Yeah.
It's all good, man.
And I know I'm not so much anymore, but me and Jamie used to be big runners. We would run. I mean, I would never did marathons. We'd run, let's go run 6 miles a day.
Mhm.
Let's go
Yeah,
run.
that's good.
I mean, Christmas Eve, we ran 8 miles one Christmas Eve,
Nice.
just for the
Yeah.
hell of it. I kind of lost the passion for it recently, but it used to be a big passion. So I definitely understand that the therapeutic part of that. You just kind of forget where you're at, eyes far, and just run until you just burn out on running. Then it
No,
makes
yeah,
the day better.
no, absolutely.
I know Jamie used to smoke my ass.
Yeah, I ran in Djibouti a lot, and then when I came back here, it was a lot easier. No
Oh, yeah.
camel carcasses. It wasn't a million degrees.
She got back, and I'd whip her ass before she got back. She was beating me by we'd come to a 3 mile stop. We're stopping at 3 miles. She's done. I'm a minute behind her. It came out of
Dang.
nowhere. It was crazy. She was a beast. She was a beast. What was before you got into running? It was a pretty sad time for you, right? I bet it was hard to. Did work affect you a lot?
Oh, absolutely. It was work. It was work. And then of course, separating from my ex-wife and the fact that I wasn't going to be around my kids anymore, Sure. That was happening that was my second shore duty. Oh, it was my second shore duty, where I really started getting serious into running. So my second shore duty, the fact that I was losing my family, and it got really rough for me,
Yeah.
and of course work, Monterey was no joke, man. That was a training command. So it was stressful, but that and life and everything else going on. And I was like, man, I gotta do something, and running for sure was my savior, man.
It's a
Definitely.
good mental health, release.
Oh, absolutely. 100. In my opinion, yes, 100.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think so. It keeps you in shape and it keeps you from twisting off too hard, basically.
Yeah.
I want to hear about that deployment, your COVID deployment, because that's kind of what almost prompted you to write this book, right? That I know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. That COVID deployment, hands down, one of the toughest deployments, if not the toughest deployment of my career for many reasons. The fact that it was my third ship back to back, and then as you know, in the Navy, 3 ships back to back is not easy, man. Just the mental stress on that alone, right? 3 ships back to back. We're on deployment, right? COVID hits and the world is upside down, right? On the ship, the sailors are stressed out. Everyone's stressed out, right? Main reason they're stressed out is they're worried about their families back home. We're worried about our families, our kids, our loved ones, what they're going through, are they sick? Are they not sick? What they're suffering through. And then all the sailors and Marines, I was on Macon Island. So it was sailors and Marines stressed out. They couldn't get their hair cut, couldn't work out in the gym. It was tough. It was a tough deployment, really tough. We couldn't hit ports. So everyone was stressed out. The leadership did a great job with what they could. And then, trying to open up those relief valves on those pressure pipes, but it was tough initially and it got really tough. And towards the end of deployment, and I also had a lot of anxiety built up. So I'm gonna back up a little bit. A lot of anxiety built up because it was my turn to go to shore duty, right? I've been waiting for these. Yeah, I was in my window to go to shore duty. I'm like, man, 3 shifts back to back. I'm ready for shore duty. We reached out to the detailer. The command reached out to the detailer and said, hey, if there's anything possible that you can do to keep Raul Ramos in San Diego, to be close to his kids, it would be more than appreciated. So, the anxiety was high because I know the billets for ABCM, or Master Chief ABCM, are slim to none, man.
The higher you get, the less there are.
Absolutely. So, so, there's a lot of stressors going on, a lot of anxiety. And so that's why I say it was one of the toughest, if not the toughest deployments in my career. And of course, life and a whole bunch of other things. But those are just a few things. And, I said to myself towards the end of the deployment, I was like, you know what? I've been told over the years that I need to write a book by again, more people that I can mention or talk about. But social media was my friend. Throughout the night, I would get on social media. I had this idea that, hey, I'm going to write this book. And I reached out to my friends on Facebook. I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about writing a book. what do y'all think about a title? Help me out with a title. What are your suggestions? You know, and I had a whole bunch of comments on that one post I'll never forget. And my buddy picked one of them that was pretty close. His suggestion was Ese tu Jefe. I was like, all right. And so
that's good.
Yeah, it's pretty close. And that was the winner. That's the guy that I picked. I was like, I just said Ese tu Master Jefe. And it went from there, man. I started writing away, man, throughout the night. Like, you know, things calmed down a little bit, shut the door, cut the light off. The only thing that was on was the light on my desk. And I started writing away on my paper, man. It was literally a pen and paper, a notepad. And I was like, all right, I'm going to write everything that I can remember from the beginning of my life, starting with my parents, all the way to the end. And I did just that, man. And next, you know, I'm on a Word document. And then also in the middle of the night on my rack, I'm in my phone, I'm remembering things, I'm writing bullet points. I'm like, okay, I can expand on this. I remember that. Oh, hey, when I get back from deployment, I got to clarify this because I don't remember this. So it was a process, man. But within 2 weeks, man, from the time I started writing on that notepad, within 2 weeks, I was like done writing the story, man.
Wow.
You know, within like 2 weeks. And it was the tail end of deployment. Got back in late May. And when I got back in late May, like the first 2 weeks from deployment, getting back home, I reached out to a couple friends, some family, like, hey, remind me of this, or hey, refreshing my memory. Yeah, man. So it was a hell of a process. And then I gave it over to my editor, my good friend, Joni Horton, who also served. And I met her when she was in Monterey, California. She was a CTI, a linguist. Handed over to her, man. And that was all she wrote, man. It was awesome. And
how long from start to finish did that book come out? Once you decided, hey, I'm going to do this with your little lamp.
Yeah. I was blown away by how quick it came out. So I started in May of 2021 is when I started. Handed the book over to Joni Horton June-ish, like June. She gave it back to me in the tail end of 21. And the book released February 8th.
Wow.
I was blown away. I thought it would take longer than that, but it released February 8th. And it's a funny story. I didn't even know it was released.
Wow.
But, you know, we can talk about that another time.
Damn.
Or we can talk about it now. It's up to you. But yeah, it was less than a year. It was released. So
well,
that's
totally
how you
grateful for
know
that.
it was a story everyone needed to hear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about it. What was it you didn't even know it was released? You're the damn
Yeah,
author.
absolutely.
You're the author.
Yeah, no, you're right. So no, I used a self-publishing company who helped me, right? They're a great self-publishing company, Book Baby. They're awesome. Once we were done with our manuscript and my cover, everything was done, handed that over to them. They did their magic. And, you know, they shot me a couple emails saying, hey, your book is, you know, going to drop so-and-so date, so on and so forth on these platforms, so on and so forth. But I must have missed the memo, and I don't want to bash them because they're awesome. They're amazing. I must have missed the memo or something happened. But anyways, it was February 9th or 10th, I think. And my best friend, little man, his name is Juan. He's like, hey, bro. He's like the Homeboy Shadow, man. He said that he saw your book on Amazon, man. They're ready to buy it. I'm like, what do you mean you saw my book on Amazon? You mean for pre-sale? He's like, yeah, it's up there. It's like, it's there. I'm like, stop playing. So I get on Amazon and sure enough, it's like, it's there for pre-order. I'm like, oh shit. Right. So I think this was like a Friday night. And then I get another call. It's like, hey man, your book is up for sale on Apple Books. Like you can get it in ebook. So I'm starting to get all these calls. I'm like, oh shit. So I'm panicking, right? Because I want to get it out on social media, on every platform. Like I want to get it out there. I wanted to get my, you know, my little blurb I was going to say and all these things. So I'm like, oh shit. So I was kind of upset, but I shouldn't have been upset. I was upset and happy, you know, and excited. Yeah. It was just a good thing, man. And, you know, I talked to Book Baby on Monday and, you know, I missed the memo. So it was kind of on me, you know, but it was great, man. It was awesome. It was out there. And here we are, man. It's doing great. Thank goodness.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it's doing great. I know that one of the Facebooks I shared, I got a few calls from either Navy buddies or their spouse that we all knew each other. Hey, when's it coming out on Amazon? Because it was, we were waiting for it took a little waiting until April 6th or you could order it on
Yes.
Amazon. And I said, well, no, I showed the link, the book baby. Yeah, several people. People were really intrigued with the story.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, they're all got young kids, and you're a great example for kids, whether they grew up from a privileged childhood or underprivileged childhood. You got a great story to tell.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man. And, when I thought about getting this book out, my primary target was at-risk youth, that walked my shoes, that are walking my shoes, or, but my book is for people from all walks of life, from poor, from rich, law enforcement, teachers, counselors, military, ex-military. I got something for everyone in that book. So it's versatile. And so happy to hear that. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, great job. And I hope you sell 1 million copies, man.
Yeah.
I hope so too. Thank you, man.
That'd be great.
So I know there's no doubt you've touched a lot of sailors' lives in your 24 years. Do you remember anyone specifically that maybe wasn't kind of came from the same background you did that you were able to connect with as a Master Chief or Chief?
You know what? I would say I can count those on maybe 2 hands that kind of could relate to my lifestyle, and I could relate to theirs. I don't want to, put many names out there, but there was a good 10 of them. And to this day, they reach out to me and, hey, thank you. I appreciate you for listening to me or giving me the guidance. And that's the best feeling in the world. I love it. I love it when I get that text or that Facebook message or whatever. And, they thank me and I just say, you don't have to thank me. I appreciate it. Don't thank me. Just pay it forward, and just keep moving full speed ahead. I'll see you at the top.
Because I'm a recruiter, so I see a lot of different types of backgrounds and kids that really need it, really need the Navy and all of this. And it's just, I bet that to have someone, to have a leader that's walked through those shoes and made a success out of their life is everything to that one person, No,
absolutely. I totally agree with you. I mean, you emulate them. You want to be like them. And it's like, man, it's like a magnet, right? You stick to me like, damn, I want to do what he or she's doing. Mm-hmm. I want to succeed like he or she's been succeeding. I want to know what he or she's been doing to make it to the top or to be successful in their career. So yeah, absolutely.
So I know I've been asked this a couple of times. You ever think about maybe reading this thing and releasing it as Audible?
No, absolutely, brother. Obviously that takes a little bit of time and money.
Does.
I just retired, so March 31st. So I've got a lot going on right now, right?
I bet.
This is my first podcast. I appreciate y'all, man. This is awesome. But I have a lot going on in my life right now, and I'm trying to juggle everything. And I don't want to bite off more than I can chew right now, but it's coming. Eventually, it is. And I think, I get that request a lot as well. It's like, hey, man, get your voice on there. Yeah. And I want to do it with my voice, right? Like,
definitely.
I want to do it with my voice. And again, that's going to take a little bit of time and money. I'm getting a lot of requests for a Spanish version as well. And I was like, I'd love to do it too. It's 15K minimum to do something like that. I'm not trying to say, oh, hey, I'm not doing it because of the money. I'm just saying that it costs a little bit of money, so, there's 15K I can use on other things right now, especially just retiring. But it's going to get there. It's going to get there for sure. So good deal. Absolutely.
So one last question.
No, I have a last question. No, I do. No, I was going to say, all right. So, 24 years you spend in the Navy, your children are grown up or, older now. And what would Raul Ramos say to the 1997 version of Raul Ramos, who's looking and feeling angry and just spinning in all different directions?
That's a great question. So what would I say to him? Are you talking about what would I say to him as he enters the journey into the Navy?
Yes, or just that lost feeling before before you realized what you could do with your life.
I would tell him that first he needs to find a mentor. a mentor that he wants to be like, a mentor that he wants to emulate, right? A mentor that could help him personally and professionally. I think that helped me tremendously in my career, in my life. So that would be the first thing I would tell him. And also that, hey, there's light at the end of the tunnel, but you got to put in the work, right? No one's going to give it to you. You got to go out and get it. And there's a lot of good resources, a lot of good people in this world that will help you get it, but you've got to do your part as well. And I would tell them that I'm living proof that no matter where you came from, no matter what struggle you've been through, what trouble you've been in, that you too can succeed and accomplish anything and everything you want in any profession in this world.
Wow.
It's awesome. I'm not going to ask my question because you just overshined it.
That's
not
that was
big
a great
deal.
ending statement.
That was
too.
awesome. But to our listeners, we just spent the last hour or so with a hell of an American, Raul Ramos, the author of Essay to Master Jefe. Awesome book. I highly recommend it. I don't give a shit who you came from, where you came from, or how you grew up. This book, you'll find something in this book that's going to inspire you. Thanks again, brother, for spending time with us today out of your busy schedule. I know you got a lot of shit going on, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you both for having me on. I appreciate you. Much love.
Much love, brother. And we're going to close out. If you could hang on just 2 seconds, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely.
With that, we wish you fair winds
And following seas.